went there with Canativa and Copa Mexico. So they were having a cup in Mexico City and San Miguel de Allende, and Canativa was doing a whole string of educational situations across universities for La Semana Canábica. So it was just like a whole education thing, and I had two classes, and that being able to teach a class in English, which was translated by a native Portuguese speaker into Spanish, which was perfect Spanish, because although I refuse as now to speak in Spanish exclusively, my comprehension is 100% because I'm Panamanian American. I just get like funny about my conjugation. So I got to hear him explain trichomes and everything in Spanish so perfectly. And the thing is, when you're teaching in English, you know you've gotten to that point where people are willing to try to change things to make it more optimized. So, I remember my first class when they were learning and they were doing it, and then they were like, pero, and I was like, dang, they are getting it. They're trying to make new ways of going about it or understanding this different ways. And that one class, that one situation in October made me feel like I need to standardize my class situation. I was already teaching on YouTube at this point. I've passed 500,000 views of my different things and whatever like that. So why don't I codify that into a class? But I was nervous. I was nervous because I was at the point, even though I had done so much, who am I to be teaching this class? And that seems so anti who I am, but I guess I just wanted to feel like I wanted to be perfect. And then the people who signed up for my class were hash makers. I was like, oh my God, what's up, Mike? You already know how to do this. Why are you like... But it ended up being an amazing experience, an absolutely amazing experience, such that I turned around wanted to do one the next month. But Corona, I had to cancel that, so that will be done. But as it stands now, I'm doing virtual consultations. So
what's some other... I'm sorry to cut you off. What's some of the other countries that you taught in?
Really, I've just taught in Spain and Mexico. Spain, Mexico, and the United States. Okay. I'm really hoping to get to South Africa by the end of this year. Close the year.
So they have a weed situation.
South Africa has a bustling cannabis community, and Lesotho has legalized cannabis. There are several countries within Africa that have either legalized cannabis or legalized hemp and a medical marijuana program. I mean, things are happening. Even Thailand has a medical marijuana program. I mean, a couple years ago, you go to Thailand with some weed, you're gonna like lose your hand.
You lose a finger.
Like Thailand. I mean, around the world, we're realizing that like cannabis is major. I really want to do both South Africa and the Virgin Islands this year. Virgin Islands has a medical marijuana program.
I know that would be very interesting to see. They probably got some old cannabis, just old ways they did it, or hashish or something.
Oh like yeah, that. Man! Like Jamaica. I mean, Jamaican gum. I really want to know how they make their Jamaican gum. What is their version of charas? Now that I think about it, it might be. You know anything about charas? Okay, so charas is the oldest concentrate altogether. It's the original live resin. And you get charas from walking past cannabis plants and rubbing up and down. But you rub in such a soft motion to not get plant matter in there. You just get like a layer of resin, and every like couple passes you scrape it off, right? So right now, of course, we're just like, oh, that's gross. There's all kinds of like body parts. I think people don't realize that bread is made without gloves. People,
Well, I sometimes I don't think people realize that you got enzymes and germs on your hand that's actually there so you can touch everything.
There's that, exactly. So, there's a lot of beneficials. But so charas is made that way, and that's the original concentrate, and that's what you smoke in the chillum, which is a type of pipe that I smoke very often. Is a chillum.
It's like, do you put it straight in it, or you
put it on the. So charas is smoked in Europe with tobacco. We were talking about tobacco before. The tobacco helps it burn because it's just resin, so it immediately turns to water. So that charas is made by Indians, Indians are making that. And Indians were brought as indentured servants to Jamaica, to much of the Caribbean, but a lot to Jamaica, so which is why chillum is smoked in Jamaica as well. Not chalice, which is different, but chillum is smoked in Jamaica because of the Indians that were brought over. And I'm wondering if that Jamaican gum is some type of charas. I will figure that out. I mean, I'm sorry I had that whole mental process, but I mean, that's what weed lets you do. Yeah, weed has you, it makes you think about that. So I'd like to go back to Jamaica. Of course, Jamaica has its own thriving situation. I have my own personal mission with regards to hash making and women. As I mentioned, there are not very many women hash makers, and besides that, I feel, and money, it's borne out that concentrates are a fast-moving business, and that's the next level. And what I am seeking to do is to go to some of these underdeveloped countries that have a burgeoning cannabis industry and teach for free women how to make hash, so they can come in on a tier 2 level with regard to the cannabis situation. So yes, I definitely want women to be growers. At the same time, I want them to be able to provide value-added services to cannabis companies that will be coming in, because the truth of the matter is that there is the global corporatization of cannabis, and it's happening no matter what. So I really would love to have this cadre of women who are trained to be able to step up and take those roles, rather than there being importing of people from Germany or people from Canada to be in Barbados to teach hash when... Don't worry about it. We got that already.
Yeah.
Duchess came through and taught us that. Good night.
Of course. Already showed us how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like if these women can have these type of classes free of charge, that'd be great. It really puts them in a position where they can command some level of respect and authority within cannabis. So that's like my personal little thing, to like hop around all these countries and teach women how to make cash. That's what I would love to do.
That sounds more than doable. That sounds like,
Hey, I'm not gonna be. It's not too hard. Plus, it's still weed, like we said.
Yeah.
So in the nighttime, I mean, I'm all about the education, but no one can ever say I'm not a party animal, which I was when I decided to go to bartending school. Also, it was just like, I love the idea of celebration. If we put more respect on that and more. Celebrating ourselves, celebrating just the fact that we woke up today. I mean, that is a
so I know other countries do way more celebrating than we do.
I mean, for real. I mean, on a daily basis, like Spain. I gotta tell you, it's a celebration every single day.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've heard.
You don't even understand about
that's
the club.
Like second or
the
third
club
time.
system. Okay, I brought Billy to the club system, and Billy was like, "Oh, this is the shit." And I'm telling you, like, the club system is the best. The idea of there being hundreds of places that are themed, that have their own particular clientele, the particular weed you'll find there, particular hash you'll find there, the DJ you'll find there, the art that you'll find there, the food that you find there, the girls that you find there. And they're the most nondescript looking. You walk by these places all the time. It just looks like a door. But then you come in, it's like a whole other world. And everyone has their favorite clubs. Like yesterday, I did an interview with my favorite club, which was La Calada. La Calada is like my second home. I've done classes there. They have come and stayed with me. It's like,
where they based out of?
I mean, they're in Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
This is the Barcelona crew. I've met several people on the Madrid side, but Madrid is a little bit more conservative than Barcelona. But like, I'm telling y'all, okay, I always want to tell everybody this. Everyone thinks going to like Spain is so expensive. There is a shuttle from Oakland to Barcelona. It's $2.99. That's how y'all in Spain all the time. It's $2.99 round trip.
Man, this is
sneakers
like
that cost more than that, yeah.
This is like the second or third time, yeah.
We were supposed to go to Spanish business.
We were supposed to go Billy, yep.
We were talking about it with him. We didn't get everything together on our end.
Yeah, we didn't have we
station.
I understand. I mean, things happen, but when you get that opportunity to jump on it, because one of the things that's important, I think, for people who are in California, yes, y'all have all the freedom. You do have freedom. One of the disadvantages of being in California is that because you've had California freedom, you kind of think that like the whole world is California, and you don't really have an idea of what really the rest of things look like besides California. And I find that once you've done the international circuit, as big as California is in the worldwide of things, it's real small. It's big. I mean, California influences everything. The genetics that are popular all over the world come down to what the fuck we talking about on Instagram. It 100% comes down to what's the newest thing that's in.
Doesn't that feel weird though? Now that you've been here for a while, things that you've seen, like you see, you might be like, oh, that's the homie, but then you turn around and you be like, oh, wait, that's the homie, but somewhere else they're like, oh,
I mean that.
But when you know you used to see them around, you know,
yeah,
like,
sure.
I remember we came up on, or I remember this or that, but then like something they did is so crazy. So then when you start looking around, or songs or all kind of things you hear, like, oh no, we know, you know who they talking about, right? Like, nah, they talking about what's the name? Oh, what?
Right now there's an opportunity for almost everybody to come up, no matter what. Okay, so 1996 to now is not that long, and it's not that long. So it's the tip of the iceberg. So many things had happened between 96 and now. So many things happened between last year and now. But that's so minor compared to all the things that are going to happen with regard to cannabis as it rolls across the world in full. This is so very, very small. So because I'm saying it's in it being so very small, the opportunities are vast. I always tell people, like, we don't need another edibles company, but at the same time, we could probably hold another 1,000 edibles companies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like that doesn't make enough of a differentiation right off the top. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what the market will eventually be able to handle, I'm sure there can be thousands more of this and thousands more of that. Right now is the time, if you have something that you are in love with, not something that's the easy thing, like I'll just make some cookies, but if you are super, super, super in love with it, just tie it to cannabis. You're super in love with photography, become a cannabis photographer. Super in love with accounting, we need accounting within the cannabis industry, instead of, again, well, I'll make an edibles company. Oh, please don't make another edibles company. You know what I mean? There's so much more that you can do and so much more value you can bring to the situation. And at the end of the day, I'm sure you've had your ups and downs in being an entrepreneur. I know I've had many ups and many just like soul-crushing downs. You have to love the thing. You have to love it enough to do it through those shitty times where you're just like, oh my god, should I get a job somewhere else? Should I just get a job? And it's gonna where Gary Vee was just talking a couple of days ago, when you're like, you have 20 viewers and 30 viewers, you just keep pushing through that, because eventually it will be 300 views, but it's never gonna be 3,000 viewers until it's 30 viewers.
Most definitely. I know that firsthand when I started doing my show and stuff like that, and just trying a little hobby and stuff. My homie Fresh Bueller was there to witness. I had to call him. Hey, listen to me. See if I hit me and say, oh, cool. Yeah. Hey, listen to me real quick so I can, like, it won't be zero. Yeah. I'm not talking about myself. Exactly. So I can see one. Yeah. Right? And then, you just got to let it snowball. And then, you, like you said, if you love it and you keep trying at it, things will pop up for you that'll come, it'll attract to you. Law of attraction sometimes. You just got to say it. And then it sound good until I start saying it. And I had a platform like what you do, you literally say it into a mic. Yeah. So it's like, that's more, if you're going to broadcast out to, anything, it might as well be through a mic. So
yeah, I mean, Benjamin Franklin famously said, do something right or do something worth writing about. I decided to do both. So I write for a whole bunch of magazines, right? And then I was like, okay, let me just do stuff as well,
How is it writing for a magazine? What kind of...
Oh, well, I mean, I kind of like glossed over that. Mind you, that's the reason why I'm a hash maker. So I, and it has made me the hash maker I am. So the situation was that Frenchie, as a hash maker, felt that he was biased in writing about hash. He wanted to write about hash, or have hash be written about from someone who had no concept of really what they were looking for, but knew about cannabis. So I kind of was the perfect person. I had been growing for 10 years by that time, but I didn't know anything about hash. And the idea was that I was going to sample hash of many hash makers one per issue, and then write a story about it. So what started off, I remember my first article had 836 words. By the time I wrote my last article late last year, it was at 3,400 words. So what it was is that like I would take this hash and then I would go on an adventure with or without the hash maker, and then write not just like this is fruity or whatever, but the entire experience about being high on that particular hash. And so that required me to learn about the hash maker, how they made the process, how it was grown. So for the last 5 years, so over like at this point 40 something issues through all the magazines, I have talked to dozens of hash makers about what their hash they're making, what the process is, why they chose it this way, how long they've been doing it, what they've been seeing through the years. And then it's having that experience. And I took bits and pieces from every single hash maker to formulate what I find to be the Dutch touch. So that's how that worked out for me.
Man, speaking of it, when I first seen your hash, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, is these polished rocks? And then he was like, BabyLungz is like, this is cold water. I'm like, this is cold water? Like, yes. see some of the cold water used to come out and maybe look like sand or something.
He should not be full melt like that. You know
oh, yeah. I mean, the funny thing about that, like, it's funny. Don't give me any bad things for me to be inspired. I don't want to be so inspired. But, like, you know, I came up as a hash maker on Instagram. So I was in a particular position where it was like I was Frenchie Cannoli's first student. Oh, mind you, when I learned from Frenchie, I didn't even know who he was. So there was that also.
You thought he was just a homie? Yeah.
Just some weird French dude, like who like wants to like bitch about resin all damn day long. So I was kind of. That's also why I was kind of like, no, I do not want to make it. I had no clue who this dude was. Now, I mean, you know how Instagram works. Instagram works on perceptions and on you can have a little bit of knowledge and really broadcast a lot as if you have a lot of knowledge. So when I'm coming up in the beginning, like the beginning of 2014, and I'm putting pressed hash out there, we are seeing a resurgence now of appreciation of press hash, but 2014, that was shit turds. So it's like constantly, I was dealing with trolls almost on the fucking daily, right? So because I was dealing with trolls on the daily, at the end of the day, no matter what it looked like, however, the people who appreciated old school hash appreciated it, it needed to fucking melt. So that became my like super focus on, in terms of how I do my hash. My biggest thing is, at the end of the day, you can't say shit to me when you look at that banger and that shit is fucking golden, you know. Whereas other people, so Frenchie used to ask me, why are you so focused on that? You know, I changed the micron size that I was going with because I wanted a broad spectrum like he does, but I don't go as far as the 45 micron. I'm taking the 73 micron, the 90 micron, and the 120 micron into one bag, and I call that my broad spectrum hash, which gives the broadest flavor without the risk that comes with bringing the 45, which has a tendency to be not as melty as the other thing. See, at the end of the day, my ego was on the line of it has to freaking melt, because people are going to be like, oh, like this other hash maker, this big name, blah, 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 and like she's just making splash because she's a woman or because she's black. I'm not letting you come at me with that kind of nonsense. You don't come at me like, although I'm not a big person for doing cups, but at this point I judge cups, and I'm gonna go back to doing cups, but like my thing was like, on terms of performance, when it comes down to it, I want you to be like, you know what, she might make this kind of funny way of making it, but that shit is still full melt. So you know what I mean? So that's what it comes down to. And then now we're seeing that people are understanding that flavonoids cause color changes. If it's outdoor, they're gonna be color changes, and at the same time, you can dab something that is like 5 years old, well preserved, full melt, that is not the white color that you're used to, and be like floored by the flavor, and you know, it all comes down to education. But I had to get to this level of, in a way, authority for it not to just sound like I was full of shit, you know, just trying to like, oh, you just trying to defend your shit. Nah, man, I've seen this shit from around the world. I'm telling you, I make that beach sand, I make that white, and I also make this press hash, and I happen to like this press hash. So if you want to try some next new shit, come on and try these polished rocks. I might need to like move on with that.
No, I was bigger. I was saying that was bigger press because, like you said, we did some, and it was like at one point we had so much cold water hash and was like, bro, why are we still baking? If we could come, we had hella trim. Like, fuck it, we'd be bored. Like, fuck it, let's go make some hash. All right, let's go make some hash.
I think that's important.
Then it was like, so we was like, okay, well, we got all these zips of hash, and then like it was like nobody's buying hash at this point, right? Yeah. Especially cold water. So we smoked it and we went on about our lives. And then, like you said, when we seen it start coming back, we was like, bruh, we been making this, right? So it was like we should have stuck with it, but everybody, just because it's not popular at the time. So when we seen it resurge, we was some of the ones like, and it's full meal? Like, I gotta have, bro. Like,
look, do you feel me? Like, I had like a quarter pound of this shit at the house, and it looked like heroin damn near. Like, the funny, that was just a little hard to explain, but we just started smoking that shit like, fuck, we just gonna roll like a blunt, roll the outside of it. Yeah. You feel me? Mm-hmm. We was just doing everything with it. Yeah,
everything.
But like you said, we were so ahead of it. Like, we were doing that shit as kids in the garage, just fucking around.
We didn't have no idea that we could have, heat pressed it or did something. We were just like, we gotta do that. Let's smoke it. All right.
Well, I mean, too, maybe that wasn't your particular path, but at least you have that special appreciation. And what you're saying right now, it's good if you have an idea and you don't really see other people pushing that idea, but you believe in that idea, stick with the idea. It almost always comes back around. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, if you stuck with the idea, boom. I mean, I definitely had a bit of a slump on my esteem being able to sell hash. I was selling hash in LA, and I was getting I felt pigeonholed in this, like, oh, this is just that old school whatever. I'm like, young, put the fire to it, put the fire test and see how that shit bubbles. Don't be stuck on what you see in terms of the color, because that's not telling you all the information. Of course, once I had my freeze dryer tech, and if I wanted it to stay white, it would stay that white, then like, it's like, oh, but you can't say anything now because I could give you this. I'm choosing to give you this, but I'll give you this if you want. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think is next for you? What you got on the way?
Oh, back to media. The thing is that, like, at the truly, although I'm not writing for Weed World magazine exclusively anymore, there are a couple other magazines that I want to be writing for, but I moved away. No issue with the magazine. I moved away because I felt like, for 5 years, I've been doing something that had become comfortable. I could do it, and I don't like when anything's comfortable. That's bothersome for me. I mean, 5 years seemed like a good amount. So one of the things that I don't really like or I'd like to change within the cannabis game, is right now our media is very much controlled on a corporate level. And I don't know if you've noticed when lists come out about stuff and people that are highlighted, a lot of times they don't look like us in terms of us who've been in it, us who have any dirt under our nails. It doesn't look like, it's not the producers, it's not the growers. And so I have a couple of projects happening with regards to some platforms that are focused, that I'm going to turn my own interview style and writing toward highlighting some of these people that are hardly ever talked about. Because again, credit to the growers.
Man, no. No, I definitely feel you on that one. We had this conversation before. Like, well, unfortunately, some of the pop-ups and some of the events and things that we was supposed to maybe make it to got canceled and things like that. But we've been talking to some of our friends and people that we know, and they were saying that, like, pretty much what you said, there's nobody that organically been there and watch it, see it grow, or had to hide, or you used to act a certain way when you have it. Like you said, any dirt under your nails, it's mostly people that's learning about it, or people that's corporatizing it, that's giving you the eye on media, or it's nobody. To me personally, it don't seem like it's a lot of people on the ground level. There ain't no Connie Chung's on the ground interviewing people that feel me, and I personally don't think it's hard, but I can see how it's hard for someone that's not in the cannabis industry, that's just coming in as a corporate situation, to see it's hard because, like we were saying earlier, a lot of people is friendly and open and they'll tell you everything, but a lot of people will be guarded and won't give you, they tell you, and you might go behind my back or take my secrets or whatever, right? But for me and most of the people I know, we already lived and grew up in it, so most of the time when we come at people, we normally don't get that pushback because either we know somebody, we know somebody, the proper channels. We have somebody that vouch for us, or we come at us people with a genuine angle, and they're like, oh, okay, you got genuine stories. Oh yeah, just things like that I had you be able to move in them certain circles and talk to certain people and things like that.
that giant, y'all don't know about that giant.
That's it when I try like, oh yeah,
that's where it's at. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you with regard to that. I totally agree with you. And it's for that reason, though, that sometimes, not to just bring it back here, but just to know that it's for that reason that, like, the smart corporate people have realized that it's good to partner and have a bit of a sidekick that's in the game, but you gotta make sure you're not played like Toto. So that's the big part of that.
It's crazy when they figure out the culture, right?
Why don't you have like a big, just you could go with glass, it's so sexy, one big hole. The problem with that is that, as we know, the Chinese will tell you that there are like 4 zones in your mouth, right? When you smoke a small joint, what happens is that you're inhaling, and just that line of like inhale crosses certain parts of your mouth, and that's really not as effective as if you got a full mouth. You got the sweet, the sour, the bitter, and the salty at the same time. So when I allowed people at the time to smoke like this is a diffused way of smoking, so it becomes this, it comes out and like expands in the mouth. You can, again, I've talked about this mouth feel because there's a whole bunch of hash in there, so you'll get that mouth feel. It's almost like chewing on marshmallows, kind of. You can really feel the thickness. That's the difference when you're smoking hash or smoking flower by itself. Like, I don't smoke flower. I almost never smoke flower by itself. Like, I'm not gonna roll something that's just flower. I say it tends to taste airy. And that's just that the smoke is not as thick. When you're smoking hash, like right now, this is smoked out. When we smoke, you see this is going to be a little bit more smoked out. Hash itself is blue. It makes a blue smoke, a thick blue smoke that doesn't move. It just sits heavy in the air, and it sits heavy in your mouth like that too. So the idea with smoking this is smoking it like a chillum. Oh, so that whole thing was it would come in and then you inhale and blah blah blah. Now that we smoke as a chillum has the same type of idea, but the smoke gathers in the hand as you and it continues as like a in your vacuum that you're pulling, but it becomes like a cotton ball that you are now pulling through your mouth. So it's really you can make that same feeling with any kind of joint, any small joint, big joint, a cigarette. You can make that same kind of expansive feeling by smoking it in this way, which is like a chillum. I'm going to show you the hand position in 1 second. The second part of that is the breathing part of it. When I'm teaching newbies, I mean old ladies, how to smoke, I'm always advocating that smoking does not need to hurt. So I've taught little old ladies with their little baby lungs. They got old withered baby lungs. You know what I'm saying? I just want with old ladies. And this is the idea. A lot of times people generally are, so there's that, or the holding it here or bringing it almost to the back there, which hurts like ass. Okay, the idea that I advocate is a 75-25 rule, which is you inhale cannabis 75% of the time and cold air 25% of the time. And so I envision that like a 4-beat count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where you, for the 3 beats, you inhale with the cannabis, and the 4th beat, keep inhaling, but you move your hand away. So the equivalent of that looks like this, right? So you just keep smoking. You. No, none of that. No, none of that. Just keep smoking. Just keep inhaling, even though your hand has moved away. What happens with that is that the smoke fully engulfed in your mouth, but that cool air that you smoke at the end pushes the smoke into your lower lungs, past your throat. People think that they're coughing because they've pulled in too deep. No, you've pulled in actually too shallow, and the smoke has stopped right here, and it's literally tickling the shit out of your fucking throat. That shit hurts like ass. It's hot, and it hurts and all that. What you want to do is get that smoke into your lower lungs and then just let it out. No, whatever. The terps are going to be different. It's going to hit your mouth, all kinds of different. When old ladies, because I do this for the senior groups, do this, they blow big smoke. No coughing. There's no reason to cough. That shit hurts. And if you have a weak bladder, then you end up peeing on yourself. Don't do that. Just saying. These are all bladder. I'm saying you got a weak bladder.
I got a big bladder.
So this I got into making this because of Instagram. What happens? I woke up one day in 2016 and I saw someone rolling a big joint with a whole bunch of BHO. And I was just like, oh, I can roll a big joint also. I mean, at the time, the joint was actually not that big. It's about 3.5 grams. But I was like, I can roll a big joint with a whole bunch of hash and rosin. So I have the original at home. And I called it an because I didn't have enough tips of the right color. So I had like white ones and these tan ones. And it looked like an O and O. Again, with the alliteration. So I was like, oh, I like that. These are like an O. And then when I had that first smoke, I didn't smoke my first one. I made another one, and I had that first smoke. I have a thing about saving first of stuff. When I did that first smoke, I was just like, this shit got my nose open. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, and I was just thinking about it. You know, when you're high, weed does that shit for you. And I was just like, I'm gonna call this like orifice openers. So that's all I had at, just that. Your nose is open. Orifice openers, right? But last year I codified this, so let me just tell you about this before I pass it to you, right? So it's the It's so pretty that your eyes open. You know what orifice is, right? Just the holes of the body, right? Yeah. So it's so pretty that the eyes open. It smells so good that the nose open. It's so loud that the ears open. It is so big that the mouth drops open. It looks like a wild ride, so for those of us inclined, those lips drop open. And for those of us with the stick up our ass, it'll drop it right out.
So, let's have some orifice opener.
Right. Okay, wait. Before we do, I want to relax and have it on the, for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we gonna go ahead.
Oh, you gotta say something?
Yeah, no. You got any more?
My bad. Nah, man, this has been quite an opportunity. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We thank you.
I appreciate being here. This is great. This is the first time one of these poppers, besides being in the studio, the popper and the mic. This is my first radio show.
What?
Yeah, I've done other kind of interviews and stuff like that. But this is my first radio show.
Nice.
So I'm just kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before we get out of here, once again, we all know it's the Dank Duchess, yes. But we just want to make sure that you give all your platforms once again before we wrap it up.
Again, I am primarily found on Instagram and YouTube at the Dank Duchess. That's TheDankDuchess. My website is www.thedankduchess.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok, which I'll probably be doing some of that rapping over there on TikTok. And on Spotify, The Dank Duchess. Thank you.
All right. What about you, baby? You got something?
Man, we just appreciate you coming through, blessing us with an interview. This was wonderful, learning about your whole walk of life, you know what I'm saying? And we appreciate you coming on the Circus.
Thank you.
Man, I much appreciate it too. You're more than welcome to come back. Anything we can help you to do on our part with the radio, or if you got some music you want to, we got some music.
I think it's something about you.
Man, that'd be much appreciated. We would love to play any of your music on our
Oh my God, yeah, so nice.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but love. So that's more than tight. Make sure that you tap in with the Dank Duchess on all her platforms. Me, myself, Captain Who Cares, your boy BabyLungz, PublicCircusRadio. Thank you.
Draw Visuals on 510.
Oh yeah. You can also catch this segmented out on Draw Visuals over there on YouTube. So make sure you do that. And thank you.